Hello, welcome to the 4 C's. We're going to spend a few minutes talking about what the 4 C's are and why they're the foundation of our work. In the manufacturing and agrarian economies that existed more than 50 years ago, it was enough to master the 3 R's. But in the modern flat world, the 3 R's simply aren't enough. If we want our students of today to be able to compete in this global society, they need to be proficient communicators, critical thinkers, collaborators, and master creators. Our ed system was created for the industrial age. Since then, we've been through the information age, and now we're in the creation or the connected age. Our educational system needs to catch up. Life is so much more complex and complicated than it was 20, 50 years ago. We're living in a global society, and that means a global economy. Nothing happens in our world without everybody being able to find out about it immediately, whether it be in Egypt, Iran, Chicago, or Bloomington. We use our web-connected phones to watch current events on the fly. We can confirm information, prove it right or wrong, and we can look at various perspectives about the information. We're dialoguing with others around the world constantly. With these instant connections, we're expected to give instant feedback, whereas in the past we've had time to think about our answers. That's a pretty big reason why we need to be on our toes critical thinkers. Oh, by the way, there's an ISTE teacher standard that aligns with that thought. Here's another example of how life is more complex and complicated than it was 20, 50 years ago. There is a rapid decline in routine work and a rapid increase in jobs with interactive communication skills. We're connected 24/7 already. Our education system needs to adapt to that. We asked some Eden Prairie teachers what this slide meant to them. Some of their responses included, since kids are being taught and learning about things that aren't relevant, we need to drastically improve what we're doing. Another person said, responsive classroom is important because of the social skills. That's going to lay the foundation for those relationships. Another person says, well, we need to remember that we aren't teaching students for their future jobs because many of them will choose rote or routine work. But we are teaching our students to be critical thinkers, effective collaborators and communicators, so that they can be informed, responsible citizens. By the way, there is an ISTE teacher standard that aligns with that thought as well. One more example of how life is more complex and complicated than it was 20, 50 years ago. I've heard a statistic that by 2025, whites will be the minority. It means that white privilege will begin to dissolve, and of course that's a good thing, but we need to adapt and be ready for that. Cross-cultural understandings will be much more important than ever. A couple of the Eden Prairie teachers that we spoke to about this slide said, we need to really be aware of our diverse cultures. We need to teach our students the skills, attitudes, and values that go along with having relationships that work. Relationships are the foundation of healthy economies. Another person said, it is all about cultural awareness. We must constantly recognize and allow opportunities for our students to express themselves and understand people of other cultures. We also need to think about what our population looks like. How have the demographics changed? As the oldest baby boomers near retirement, there are estimates that almost 2/3 of them are not financially prepared for retirement. We'll all feel that in our economy. Oh, and by the way, there's an ISTE teacher standard that aligns with that thought. These are some problems our kids can look forward to solving. So, more than a decade ago, the Partnership for 21st Century Learning came up with a framework to help educators integrate skills into the teaching of core academic subjects. This framework describes the skills, knowledge, and expertise students must master to succeed in work and in life. It's a blend of content knowledge, specific skills, expertise, and literacies. And within the context of core knowledge, Partnership for 21st Century Learning emphasizes that students must also learn the essential skills for success in today's world. These are the learning and innovation skills at the top of this visual. All the skills are important, but a focus on the learning and innovation skills will help prepare our students for the competitive, global society that's already our reality. These 4 C's are the foundation of our work as an iLearn team, and they support Eden Prairie's mission to inspire each student to learn continuously so that they're empowered to reach personal fulfillment and contribute to our ever-changing world. I'll bet you can guess. I'll give you a hint. They all start with a C. So why? Many of you are familiar with Tony Wagner. He was here at TIES 2 years ago. He recently published the book, Creating Innovators, The Making of Young Children Who Will Change the World. Dr. Wagner is considered an expert on change and 21st century education. We're going to view a trailer for his book. As you watch it, think about what you agree or disagree with. Think about the questions you have and how you can support innovation as an educator. Think about how the 4 C's, creativity, collaboration, critical thinking, and communication, think about how they're different skills today than they were 20 or 50 years ago. And think about how the 4 C's will guide and empower you as you facilitate true thinking and innovation in your classroom.
How important is innovation? How important is oxygen to life?
If America doesn't produce high imagination people, we are going to be a very poor country.
Raising someone with an intention that they'll be an innovator is actually different than raising a child that you want to behave all the time and be quite compliant.
Some of the people that are the most rambunctious seem to sometimes have the best ideas.
I want to feel like what I'm doing every day matters.
Of course, my guidance counselor told me to go straight to college. My dream manager might not have told me to do that.
I came to Tulane because I really wanted to go to a university that was committed to public service.
The philosophy of high-tech high is founded largely on the idea of kids making, doing, building, shaping, and inventing stuff.
The MIT Media Lab spend far less time in formal classrooms learning theory and far more time on projects building things.
Knowledge, in a sense, is a commodity. You can get this on Google. It's about asking the right questions. It's about having the right insights and perceptions.
Let them fail because they're going to learn more from that than we could ever teach them directly.
Our success is measured more or less by the rate of innovation.
So one thing that resonated with me on that trailer was the whole idea that knowledge is a commodity, and that if we don't let our kids fail, then we're failing in our jobs as educators. So these skills, how are they different today than they were in the past? Because they've been around forever, obviously. Here are a couple quick bullet points to get you thinking about how your shift in your classroom or as your job as an educator, your shift in these skills can really mean a lot. Any of you have already seen the video Above and Beyond? It's a fabulous example of, well, creation and innovation. Let's take a look.
It was a warm spring morning down at the Main Street schoolyard. Excitement was in the air. "Hey, check this out," said Charlie. "The school's Going Places contest has been announced. Come on, let's go get our kits." And so the kits were handed out. Everyone identical. Everyone with a set of precise instructions. Each student set off to work. Charlie knew how to follow directions. He made great progress and was quite proud of his work. Meanwhile, Maya was taking her time. She watched the world around her, noticing other ways things go places. The next morning, Charlie was finished and carefully inspected his work. But a noise interrupted his thoughts. "Wow," said Charlie. "What was that? You didn't follow the directions, did you?" "I started to," said Maya, "but I wanted to try something different." Maya, what does that have to do with a go-kart?" asked Charlie. "Who said it had to be a go-kart?" Suddenly my project doesn't look very exciting." "Oh, but you're a great builder," said Maya. "Hey, maybe we should work together." And so they did. First, they compared notes.
Oh, and what a cruel thing to do, to pause it right there. But I'm going to. Mostly because my screencast time is almost up, but because I want you to go back to this. I want you to be curious about this. Maybe revisit the video with your team. Maybe walk through the whole presentation together. And as you do, I want you to remember that continuous improvement is a very, very valuable mindset. And it's how you embrace the 4 C's to prepare our students. It's how you embrace them that will allow them to thrive in our ever-changing competitive global society. We know that innovation can be big, but the small steps and the mindset to get to the big innovations are equally as important. Thanks. Have a great day. I hope you enjoyed the rest of the video.